Shannon Summers joining us from Silver Bullets Podcast. Please join him right there. You can tag a .com onto that and find his podcast right there. Just follow him at Twitter at Shannon CFB, college football. All right, Shannon, Chris Worley taken off the field. It's some sort of ankle injury, I believe. Tuf Borland comes in. Your thoughts about Worley's play and Tuf Borland becoming a bit of a star on Saturday?
Well, that Ohio State, a lot of players, Penn State wants to stake the claim of linebacker U, and Borland, I think he's a prodigy of the Wisconsin Badgers bloodline. A lot of his family played there. He bucked a system, come over, I had to use bucked a system on that one, but he comes over to Ohio State and he comes in and I think he led the team in tackles and he was making the right plays. A lot of these kids, they're eager, they're hungry, they're waiting to come in. This is where Urban Meyer has done an outstanding job in recruiting. You look at the only other team really to be able to recruit at the level that Urban Meyer's been at, and that's Alabama. So, I know a lot of people with we were talking about trusting Urban Meyer the last game against Oklahoma are like, he needs to be fired. I'm sorry, but after 7 losses in 6 seasons and the recruits that he's bringing in and 3 national championships, I'm going to trust the man. You don't hear Michigan saying that we need to get rid of Harbaugh after back-to-back 3-win or finishing third in the Big Ten East.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous claim. Go find a coach who's going to lose 7 games in 6 years. Obviously, somebody's got to coach the team. So if you fire this guy, you got to find somebody who's better. Yes, there was disappointment following the Clemson game last year, but if you rewind to September and really understand college football and the youth on this team, those heights weren't necessarily expected. It wasn't a shock because of the talent, but it was the youngest Power 5 team in college football, and they made it all the way through to, I would say, the best record in the Big Ten, not the Big Ten championship, but the best record in the conference, and made it to the college football playoff. And yes, that was a debacle of a night offensively. I think the 31 points given up by the defense was a bit of a mirage. The defense played rather well, but it caved in because it was constantly on the field there in the fourth quarter. So the last couple touchdowns didn't make a whole lot of sense. Tuf Borland, yeah, it was actually, I thought this guy was a bit more of an underdog, but at the 20th rated outside linebacker in the country in that class, maybe not elite Ohio State standards, but still the 4th rated player in the state of Illinois when he came out. And you allude to Chris Borland, who was an outstanding linebacker with the Wisconsin Badgers just the last few years and really tore it up his rookie season with the San Francisco 49ers, then suffered, I believe, whether it was concussion issues and just decided to step away from football after 1 or 2 really fine seasons with the Niners on the West Coast. All right. Yeah, you mentioned Urban Meyer. I made the comments the other day because I just was flooded with comments. It's over 200 comments right now about him being outcoached and that, people making the generic "he sucks" comment over and over. Okay. Every coach is outcoached. If you're going to consider being outcoached as the other team has as much talent as we do, or maybe a little less talent or a lot less talent, and they beat us, therefore we were outcoached. So any game Ohio State loses, you can automatically say the head coach was outcoached because we've got more talent than anyone, or at least as much as anyone. Therefore, he was outcoached. Well, you can take any coach in the nation. I'll include Nick Saban, who lost back-to-back games to Ole Miss in 2014 and 15. Well, he was outcoached by Hugh Freeze because they didn't have nearly as much talent, and he lost. Dabo Swinney, for as great as he's been in the last few years, and I think he's done a better coaching job than anyone in America, he still lost to the likes of Pitt last year, Pat Narduzzi. Well, he was outcoached, I guess. You could go down the line with every coach, and I'm going through the elite ones. Jimbo Fisher, well, he's lost to Georgia Tech and North Carolina in the last couple of years, outcoached. So it's never quite right for anyone unless you win them all, I guess, Shannon.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way it seems. There's a lot as far as the armchair quarterback that a lot of us are, that we could sit there and say, well, this could have happened, that should have happened. But bottom line, you look at it, Oklahoma was fired up. Their players made the big plays. Ohio State, it didn't seem like they were that fired up. They were that hungry, and they obviously weren't making the key plays that they needed to make. So that does partly come back on the coaching, which the coaches come out and said, hey, you can't put this on me. I'm partly to blame. But at the same time, a lot of it comes down to execution on the players. You sit there and practice. We're not privy to what's going on in practice. The only ones that are is the coaching staff and the players.